Hi, this is Matt with Intergalactic Herald. Welcome to my Star Atlas Week in Review podcast. This is podcast number 67. Any articles or videos mentioned you can find on my website at intergalacticherald.com and look for news recap number 116. So just a quick recap on what I will be going over today. Actually, another week without much news from the team, at least public news. Anyways, they did have the Atlas Brew, so I'll talk briefly about that, and then I'll kind of continue my segments of kind of personal observations and my personal gameplay, so my kind of state of Star Atlas and my journey playing it. So before I get into that, though, just a couple things to mention. One, if you're interested in being a guest on this podcast, definitely always open to guests, so that could be other content creators, community members, Star Atlas team members. Basically, I'd love to do either an interview or we could just talk about the week in review. I do have two Star Atlas projects I'm working on. One is my merch store, Intergalactic Gear. You can find that at intergalacticgear.com. It is officially open for business. However, it is only selling one Star Atlas mug. Hopefully, I'll be able to expand the product line, but again, question of time, and actually decided to spend time actually playing Star Atlas. So, but if you're interested in a mug, please go. Otherwise, you can always check out the website. I do have a merch survey. I'd love to get your feedback on what kind of merch you'd like to see, and then it'll give me some indications of products I can start putting into the store. Also, I am looking to eventually build a Star Atlas, what I'm calling a non-guild guild, or one of the DACs. But basically, this will be a community for Star Atlas gamers who don't want to join guilds, but yet still want to hang out and chat and don't want to hang out in the official Star Atlas Discord. It will be a paid community, but that's probably to offset the costs. So if you're interested in joining other Star Atlas gamers who, again, aren't interested in joining guilds, please go to intergalacticcoalition.com and fill out that interest survey. So I'm going to go ahead and get into the content. Again, as I kind of alluded to at the beginning, not much from the team again this week. They did have an Atlas Brew, and this will, I guess, be was the first of what's going to be a regular monthly economic forum from the Star Atlas economic team. So that's actually cool. I like the consistency. Definitely glad to always hear from the team members. So one thing they did mention I just found interesting is one of the reasons they decided to have a public forum is that they're getting lots of questions. And again, the Star Atlas Foundation Room, which is a special channel in the Discord, you do get access to team members when they want to reply back. Again, unfortunately, due to rules, we're not able to share what is said in there unless the team allows it. But again, you got to ask, and it just takes a lot of effort. So anyways, but one of the things on the economic side, they decided that would be a good thing to do is not actually give out economic advice in the Foundation Room and let it come in this monthly economic forum. And actually, I think that's a really good idea. I mean, no problems, with the Foundation Room as a structure, VIP access, things like that. That's fine. It's pay to play, type of thing. But for future stuff. But anyways, on current stuff like, hey, what's happening here? What's going to come there? Definitely some of the economic things I guess I do realize in hindsight is kind of affecting current gameplay, and if you've ever hung out in the Discord, generally you'll notice a lot of people are talking about, since there are economic benefits to playing the current versions of Star Atlas. So I think that was good. So I went ahead and listened to that. Again, I don't listen to these things live, kind of catch up on Friday nights on all the content creators and Star Atlas videos, though I guess most of them are actually posted by Star Atlas TV, so I do appreciate that person records and posts those on YouTube, so we have access to it. So if you're interested in the economy, please go listen to it. I have to admit, and maybe it was just because it was late on Friday night, it was hard to get into that type of discussion. But again, it's not that again, it's economics. I'm totally glad there's smart people on the team developing an economy. There's a lot of ins and outs. I took Econ 101 in college, but again, other balance in my personal budget and trying to figure out my cash flow for my business. That's my extent of economic knowledge. But again, if you're interested in stuff, it's fascinating. Again, there's public. Yeah. So there's talk that this may replace the quarterly economic report. So anyway, again, I'm just into the gameplay right now. So I'm glad there's economy, but again, it was hard paying attention late on a Friday night. But I really appreciate that do it. So please don't take away that just was the wrong time. Anyways, you know what I mean. Anyway, so yeah, that was about it. There weren't many content creators posting things from the last week, but again, you can check on the ones that did give some updates. If you go to intergalacticherald.com and look for my news recap number 116. So move into kind of my ongoing, what I'm going to keep calling, because I don't know why, a couple S's, the state of Star Atlas. So So one of the things I had random thoughts this past week was the goal of gameplay. And again, if you've listened to this before, you know I'm always about engagement and having fun and things like that, though I'll get a little more on the economy side later when I talk about what I've been working on. But I was kind of thinking that besides Surge, which again I did find really fun, there's at the present time, there's really not much about fun gameplay. And again, totally admit it's still under development. But it is kind of focused on the economy gameplay. And again, this I actually wrote before this, the Atlas Brew. So, and I guess I kind of see some of that because it is founded out of the crypto space, and there's lots about token economics and liquidity pools and a whole bunch of other investment, or not investment, I guess, what do you call it? Financial stuff. You know, what's the price of the token? How do the tokens work? Who gets them? Things like that. You know, that is much more about economics than it is about game, or well, I start using the different word than gameplay, because like somebody was mentioning that the marketplace, buying and selling, that's a game. That's true. So I don't know what word to come up with, but what used to just be called playing a game, and everybody knew what a game was, whether it was checkers or a video game. But again, there. But my point is more that it is right now focused completely, completely focused on the economy. And I say that because the showroom, other than Surge, which was the ability to go in, you don't hear a lot of people talking about it. I'm still waiting to find the time to go in and look at it, other than the Surge thing, which was fun. But again, when I looked at it before, I got my video card and was able to run on my computer. I mean, you play for a few minutes and you're just running around in an empty environment. It's a tech demo, which is, again, fine. But going on this idea of kind of the gameplay goal. So if it is economy, what is the goal? Well, I guess it's to make money via Atlas, because that's the only token right now that you can buy and sell. And again, obviously you can buy and sell Polis, but you don't earn Polis playing the current Sage or the Faction Fleet. Both outputs are Atlas. But it's becoming more and more clear that, you know, you're going to need to have a large fleet. And again, I go back to something I caught a couple podcasts back when Michael Ignacio mentioned, again, the word assets. So he wasn't talking about small gamers or small fleets. He was talking about small assets. And again, another term to me much more in the financial world. But I have to admit, even if that is a goal, i.e. make money via selling Atlas, it's just not an incentive to me. I can make money in the real world. I mean, I could spend an extra couple hours prospecting. Maybe I can get another client for my business, or I can work on a side business and, you know, do something that's, you know, there's a whole lot of ideas there. And I guess there's nothing wrong if you call Star Atlas your side business, side hustle, and you're trying to make money in there. But the amount of investment up front seems to be way out of the, I guess bluntly, the risk tolerance that I'm interested in, because if, again, tomorrow Star Atlas disappears, it's gone. I mean, many other things you can leverage your products. You could find a different market. You could take that knowledge, apply it to something else. I mean, if Atlas becomes worth zero, well, there's nothing. If the marketplace isn't open to sell ships, why would anybody buy a ship? I mean, the risk of it all going away is literally extremely high, because it's not a mature technology and it's not a mature company. So it's kind of hard to think too much. But more to the point is, I do want some engagement, and, you know, buying and selling on the marketplace just doesn't get it. So, but I was really thinking maybe I just haven't given Sage a fair shake. And part of that is because of two reasons. One, and I mentioned this before, one is that every time I tried to do it in the last how many months with the Solana issues, I mean, transactions just wouldn't go through. I mean, you just can't sit there 5 times and click and hope something goes through. And again, I saw it in the Faction Fleet, the score staking thing, and I mean, that was annoying enough. So that's one aspect that just wasn't, you couldn't play it. The other was too much clicking. And again, I mentioned many, many months ago, I think back when maybe it was even Escape Velocity, but it definitely, the Sage Labs, clicking buttons just isn't engaging. And yes, there's strategy in why you're clicking the button, but the actual clicking isn't there. I mean, you know, we'll use the Surge gameplay. I mean, there was a lot of things you could try. You could run around, you could get shot, you try again. I mean, there's lots of feedback, and there's very little feedback clicking a button to approve a transaction. So, really did some thinking, and part of this is based upon I finally did get into thinking about using the Sly Assistant, which is, again, a automation tool, which has, I guess, community approval, even though bots are not. Anyways, it's a complicated subject to start out with if you followed it at all, but definitely the Sly Assistant tool for Sage has gotten widespread adoption and tacit approval from the team. So, and I think enough times come by that it's being supported, it's being updated, and there's nothing nefarious in it because lots of people seem to be using it and no one's reported yet any problems. So I was kind of thinking, again, how can I use that? Which, again, if I could figure out the automation, that's intriguing, with the idea that, well, could you do something in Sage? But I wasn't really interested in this gameplay of making money via Atlas, partly because of the whole LP thing I think I mentioned last time. I just don't get it. You'd have to have so much to have anything. Anyways, so I kind of was thinking, well, what could I do in Starbase that actually sounded interesting? And I actually realized it was kind of staring me right in the face, which is quote unquote stockpiling resources. So I have some claim stakes, and I've been stockpiling the 4 resources there, just keep harvesting it or claiming them every day. Couldn't I do the same thing in Starbase? And then it kind of realized a little bit that the mining and scanning functions in Starbase seem very mature, i.e. that they were also in Sage Labs. So those gameplay mechanics seem to be going through, where the upkeeping and upgrading of Starbases feels like a work in progress. And again, that's where this LP stuff comes. Plus, like I mentioned before, so it's upgraded. What does that do? I mean, there's chance there won't even be these Starbases when they change the map, even though, again, the teams talk different things about the future. But definitely, hey, I'm using claim stakes, I'm getting things. Could I mine, or I guess I won't say mine, but it's just called stockpiling resources to maybe craft in the future when those resources actually have something that benefits me? And again, I'll go back to kind of a previous one where lots of people were upset. Well, people are out there, I guess we're calling it sniping now, where they take some resources, go to some other faction, redeem them that. And people are all upset about people's self-interest. And I'm like, but that's how life works. I mean, again, I'm self-interested. I listen to previous podcasts, but in real life, I spend my time to make money to provide for myself and my family. So that's not selfish. That's just how it works. But anyways, so I kind of had that idea. But if I'm going to stockpile resources, definitely I'm not going to spend all my time clicking things. So that's where the Sly Assistant made it realize that this is really makes this whole goal of stockpiling resources good. Plus, inevitably, they've always said that the faction fleet will be retired. Now, it hasn't been yet, still is working, but they have said that it's going away. So might as well kind of get finally on the right path going ahead. So switching kind of the bigger things to what I've been doing. So again, I decided to play Starbase, but I needed to have an internal goal that Starbase fit. And again, that's where the stockpiling. So, oh, well, I double wrote all my notes twice. Oh, well. So anyways, but the key point is, so to stockpile resources, I could do scanning for SDUs, I could do mining for resources, but there is the factor of XP, and that seems to have been something the team said, well, this will live on past this. And again, it's being tied to your wallet address, so it all thing. Okay. So what I decided to do, so I give you a kind of context. So I had all my ships in Score, even though the admissions have done, still is easy to do, click, you get something. Again, something's better than nothing, because to me, time is a factor, and obviously input of money. Well, I already own the ship. So I decided, okay, I'm going to go take all my small ships out, because they're hardly learning any Atlas, so probably mining resource, or stockpile resources better. Took a little while due to so lot of issues. So I went ahead and built some fleets. And what I did is something that we had been talked about earlier before is, keeping your fleets on specific tasks. So you might have a scanning fleet, you might have a mining fleet, you might have a transport fleet. So use some great tools. Evi is one that has there, and there's some of the dashboards. But anyways, the other reason I looked at Evi is it has the probability scanning factors for the SDUs. So kind of just use that tool, and it had some information about storage capacities and things like that. So built my fleets, looked at all the resources that were available, resources that are involved predominantly in the building of the 4 main resources, the ammo, toolkits, food, and fuel. Just said, I don't need that. So perfect example, I'm not going to mine biomass because I'm getting food in my claim stake. So it doesn't make any sense to do that. Let's get some of the other resources. So that all seemed to go pretty good. So I'm not sure if, again, the transactions just started working or what, but I was able to kind of get everything kind of set up. So then I found a great guide. Well, first I joined the Sly Guild Discord. I think it's their Discord. Anyways, they had a channel for Star Atlas, and they promoted that. So if you look at the Sly Assistant, actually I should back up. Some of these resources on the Sly Assistant is if you go to Intergalactic Herald and you go to the Star Atlas Guide and you go to Sage Tools, I put all these things in there. So the first thing to do is install the Sly Assistant. They have documentation on there. I put a couple links to some videos that Beyond the Horizon had done about earlier on Sly Assistant. And then in being in their Discord, one of the people created a great text guide, and I created a link to that, and I promptly forgot the person's name. But again, on my website, you can finally install that. So anyway, so I did all of that stuff. And part of it was just trying to figure out how Sly Assistant works, because even though the documentation is good, the extra guide is good, the videos are good, until you click a button, you do something yourself. It's kind of hard. Or to figure out. So anyways, finally playing around, figured out the configuration, setting up different things with the wallets and things like that. So again, this isn't a tutorial, so just trying to get to the point. But anyway, so finally I got 2 scanning fleets going, 1 mining fleet that's mining at the other starbase, and 1 transport fleet to go from the main central space station up to that one, taking the food, fuel, ammo out, and then bringing back SDUs and the resource. And it's kind of fun. So, and I got the thing figured out so that I'm using a Soulfire wallet, which has a longer auto-approve window than Phantom, and keeping everything still in my Ledger wallet, but of course I don't have to do any clicks. So got all that figured out. Again, this isn't a tutorial video, and then the final thing on that, at least, I decided to keep my bigger ships still in score because they're earning Atlas. I'll figure out this week now what the number is, but still probably worth it because, well, I would think Atlas is worth more than resources. But again, there's a lot of things to do. But anyways, the key point of all this is it's kind of fun. Now, was it easy? No, because again, you're learning technology, you're installing scripts and extensions in Chrome browsers and other wallets and public keys and transferring money around. Yeah, it's a lot of work, but at least it was something to do. Now, is it a game like Surge? No, it's another game type. But once all that kind of got up and I was seeing my fleets moving around and doing things and realizing, I got to adjust this or I got to fix that or I want to learn more about that. Yeah, it was actually kind of fun. One of the cool things is on the web browser, in this case Chrome, and when you're running the Sly Assistant tool, you can open up some developer tools and there's a console and you see all these logging messages. And I have to admit, it's kind of cool to look at. In fact, I'm recording this and I have a spare laptop right next and it's scrolling through doing things. So yeah, that was kind of fun. Oh, and then I used the Evi to kind of check the overall status of the fleets because it has more information. So yeah, I think it's kind of fun. Now, still think there's some issues with Solana, and I haven't figured out priority fees, and there's a whole bunch of stuff talking about which RPC you're supposed to connect to. So there's still way more things to learn. But the cool thing is the Sly Assistant, even with no priority or default priority fees, it just retries itself. So I'm not clicking, it's there. So that's where I'm at right now. This weekend I've been tweaking a couple of things, ran out of resources, so I realized it consumes more than I thought. Anyways, I know we've kind of talked in the past about quote unquote spreadsheet warriors. I don't know. I guess that's what I don't know. I don't know if this is what it is, because it doesn't feel as boring as working a spreadsheet, even though I have a couple pieces of paper tracking some consumption things. I guess that could be considered a spreadsheet, but it's just kind of getting this fine-tuned. But what's, I guess, fun about it is when you check your overall inventories, the numbers go up. Now, sure, some resources are being consumed, the food, fuel, ammo, but I'm getting SDUs before. I mean, when I was manually scanning, especially we go back to faction fleet and you get 1. I mean, I'm getting 10 because I have 10 small air bikes. So I guess that's the limit. But again, I don't care. And so it's growing. I think I hit 100 on like the first couple of days, and now after a week, I think I may even have 1,000 SDUs. Now, I don't even know if that's useful in crafting, but hey, considering how manually intensive that was for time and frustration level, that's kind of cool. So anyways, I'll wrap it up on that note because I'm still right in the middle of continuing to refine things in the Sly Assistant for the star-based thing. But again, kind of enjoying it. I don't know if I'll, get bored of it, but I guess kind of like the faction fleet, hey, if I can get a steady ecosystem or a steady system of inputs and outputs, and I keep growing my stockpiling goal, and then I don't know, whatever number I pick per resource, and then I go try a different one, and then of course I got to tweak different things because probably have greater distances or something like that. I don't know. I guess I'm kind of enjoying it. So again, it wasn't the gameplay I was thinking, but definitely with the automation and a great tool, great community user who created that, great resources to read about it. Yeah, it is kind of interesting. Now, one big caveat, I don't know if I'm making money, but I'm not really sure that's my goal, because my goal was to stockpile resources. My goal wasn't to make money, i.e. through earning Atlas. So is this a long-term play? I kind of think so. But again, it goes back to kind of the original vision. I was kind of thinking about, hey, I just want to have my claim stakes on a chunk of some planet somewhere, and I'm doing something like have my outpost, or, I don't know. Again, because there isn't a game design, there isn't something you can do. So everything is just randomly guessing what the game will allow you to do someday. So anyways, working for me right now. So just sharing my journey. So to wrap it up, thanks again for listening. If you, again, want to see any of the articles or videos in my weekly recap, though I didn't really talk much about them, please go to intergalactichero.com and look for the latest recap. Again, I'm looking for guests, so if you're a community member, content creator, team member, please go to intergalactichero.com, fill out the contact form. I'd love to try to find a time where we could chat. If you're interested in buying some Star Edge merch, i.e. a coffee mug, please go to intergalacticgear.com. Maybe by the time you check that out, there'll be more stuff. Who knows? And lastly, if you just want to hang out with some other Star House gamers who don't want to join guilds, that just want to be solo gamers, but yet want to have a place to hang out that isn't the Star House Discord, please go to intergalacticcoalition.com and fill out the interest survey. And that's pretty much it. I hope you have a great week ahead. This is Matt with the Intergalactic Herald.